Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sapphire's Unscripted. Um, it feels good to be a Bulls fan for once. um, we actually did it. To all the Bulls fans watching this video, we actually did it. But let's just introduce the panel. We have Casual Bias Rugby, we have Brett Burns, and obviously me, Brevin Herbst. And yeah, welcome back to the channel, guys. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, follow our social media pages. We really appreciate you guys, and we're enjoying doing this for you guys. And yeah, we're going to chat about URC, obviously the two South African derbies. And we'll start off with the Bulls Stormers game. Of course, we have two Stormers fans to my left-hand side. And what can I say, boys? I'm going to let you guys take the floor. I'll have my say last, but have your say and let me know what you thought of the game.
Brett, are we allowed to make a little switcheroo in the panel and just have it as the two Stormers fans doing this one?
I kind of wish we did, because that smirk on his face. Gee whiz.
Oh my word! I mean, well done to the Bulls. I'll just leave it there. I won't say anything else. Just well done to the Bulls. Can we move on to the Lions versus the Sharks?
Well, yeah, we can right now. Just, I just, like lots of people are saying, aren't you embarrassed? Aren't you disappointed and everything? It's just from my side, from my point of view, it's a bigger deal currently, and you can't argue. It's a bigger deal for the Bulls to beat the Stormers than it would have been for the Stormers to beat the Bulls. Like, Stormers are the be-all and end-all of SA rugby. I mean, that's the first time a South African team has beaten Stormers since 2022.
Yeah,
so
15 games.
Yeah, in 15 games. So I'm not disappointed. I feel proud, not on the performance, but to be a Stormer supporter. Sorry, that was my saving grace.
Oh, well, look, gents, at the end of the day, obviously I'm very happy with the win. And if most people do know me from over on the other social media platform, and obviously watching me a bit on here, my banter levels aren't the greatest. I mean, I can barely defend myself sometimes. I'm a rugby player that literally does my talking on the field. That's how I do my stuff. But look, at the end of the day, I'm not going to banter you guys, because like at the end of the day, it was 7-0 going into this game. But as a Bulls fan, it's great to get a win finally. I thought the Bulls performed very well where they could. And I thought we stopped the Stormers' attack fantastically. But it also says a lot about the Stormers still getting 22 points when I thought the Bulls' defense was just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the line speed on Damian Willems and Liebach was just absolutely phenomenal. They did exactly what they needed to do to shut those two down. And look, I think the Bulls forwards also stood up. I think Stormers obviously were missing some spark. I mean, if me and Brett were at the game, and I thought the Stormers have this in the bag. There were even storms in the background just rooting for the Stormers.
I was just going to say the Lightning was the biggest spark for the Stormers. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Literally. But yeah, I mean, Casual, like, what were your thoughts on the game? How do you think it fared, attack-wise, defense-wise? What do you think went wrong?
Yeah, usually people know me as very biased, right? But I have to put respect on the Stormers. Like privately, we spoke to Brevan and we bantered a bit more because some of the decisions at the start I didn't agree with at all. But in the grand scheme of things, I think the Bulls were way better at certain points. They really nullified us. If you look at the opportunities and the amount of times we entered the Bulls 22, we should have gotten away with a lot more points, and we didn't. And that's down to brilliant Bulls defense and unforced errors from the Stormers' point of view. And so a lot of them were forced errors as well, just because of the pressure that the Bulls put on us. It felt like we never really got a grip in the game. We were chasing it from the start. I don't know if I even saw Dweba on the field. Is he fine? Is he still alive? Where is he? Is he in the lost and found? Someone go check. And I also thought Herschel Jantjies had one of his worst performances again. As soon as Herschel Jantjies went off, Paul de Vet came on, switched the game. We thought, listen, if we can get another try there at the end, we could be in for a proper game, when it was about 13 points or 11 points the difference. But then obviously the Bulls scored again just to like really kill us. And the Bulls scored from, once again, unforced errors with Neetling Fouché bouncing into a ruck, or Andre Guventer dummy throwing, giving the Bulls the clearance that they need. So overall, well done to the Bulls. Not a great performance for the Stormers, obviously, but you have to give credit to the Bulls, and Jake White got it right this time.
Yeah, on my side, if I have to look at as a Stormers fan, like you obviously a player can't play well every single game. It's just not possible. I mean, even I still play now, and I could have 5 great games in a row and one absolute shocker. And I feel like too many people in the Stormers team had chose their day to have a shocker. Like, okay, Dweber for one, his lineouts in the beginning, those 2 skew throw-ins, that is so stupid. On a Stormers penalty, throwing in skew with a wet ball, just keep it simple. And then, Nettling for sheer at scrum time, having some difficulty there. But my issues were people like Chiba Daimani didn't show up for the game. Herschel Yankees, box kicks that go straight up in the air. And as a professional rugby team, you still don't know. Retreat, otherwise it's going to be a penalty for the 10-yard mark, which blew my mind as well. And then Damien Willemse, I don't know if he knows where Pretoria is, because he never pitched up at all yesterday. So it's players like, and then also the last 2 games, the Stormers have played poorly, and Warwick Gelant has been the best player on the field. I mean, Come on. I need
Ivan
that guy
Roos
to
as
go
well.
back. Yeah, I need
Ivan Roos.
I need Gelant to go back to his bad performances so that the rest of the team can shine again.
Yeah, I mean, look, when Gelant, I was very impressed with, obviously coming back to the Bulls and showing the Bulls, look, I left you and I was good enough to stay type thing. And I'm sure, obviously, I'm glad he's finding some form, but I was also very impressed with Ivan Roos as well. I think the fight from Ivan Roos till the end was phenomenal. His ball carrying, sometimes people say he's too small, like he's too light, or he may be big, but he's too light. He showed yesterday, like, he can ball carry, and he can ball carry into heavy guys.
Yeah.
I mean, Gerard Steenekamp is a big boy, and he ran straight into Ivan Roos, and Ivan Roos said, listen, bud, no ways. And he literally stopped him in his tracks. And that's where I give credit. But like you said, a lot of players did go missing for the Stormers. I'm not going to act like we beat a Stormers side that was at their best. I think the Stormers were not at their best. But at the same time, obviously the Bulls got the victory. That puts them now second, obviously Leinster first. But this is where my concern lies. And this is where I challenge the Bulls, which I obviously think Jake White will say the same thing to them. You can't just top it at this. You have so many more games to play, and we are going overseas to face the likes of Leinster. Munster coming to Pretoria. A few losses there, and that puts us back down on the table if the Stormers win their home games coming up. So at the end of the day, obviously I want both Stormers and Bulls up there in the top 4. It's what we all want. But the Bulls have to be careful now, because it's consistency. Like, when we play the Stormers again, whenever that is, we can't now go back to losing 7 again. It has to be consistent. And this is where my concern lies, in the sense that, great, we've got job done, but now move on to the next job. It's a great win, but we have to move on. And I trust that they'll do that. But I can also see the Stormers coming back from this. I can see the Stormers, I mean, they have home games lined up now, and I can see them winning those games comfortably with bonus points. So I'm not worried for the Stormers at all.
Yeah, Brevan, just to add to your point about Ivan Roos, it was one of those games where he's usually renowned to be a good carrier of the ball, but I saw him do so much dirty work yesterday. He was at the breakdown, he was cleaning the ruck, he was doing everything that we kind of expect him to do instead of just being a good carrier. The Bulls players, a lot of proper, it was a solid team performance, but a lot of proper individual performances as well. If you look at how good was Kurtley Arendse yesterday, absolutely insane. I think if you look at the gap in the performance of Herschel Yankees and Embrose Papier, I thought Embrose Papier was brilliant. His kicks were on the dot every time. Moody and Kurtley Arendse could properly compete for the ball. I don't think it knocks too much of the Stormers' confidence, this loss. Obviously we wouldn't like it, but I think we can bounce back, as you said. But I think this does massive stuff for the Bulls' confidence going forward, and saying, listen, we finally got over that voodoo almost that hang over us with not being able to beat the Stormers. And now, as you said, it's just about consistency. We got it right this time. It was a great performance from us, and now you got to kick on from here on forward. Overall, I can't really add too much more. I just properly think that it was great from the Bulls and they deserve the victory. There's no need to add anything extra from my side.
Yeah, to go back.
Yeah.
Sorry, to go back to what Brio said previously about hoping the Bulls can kick on. That I also want to happen seriously, because I don't want the Irish or the Scottish sides, for that matter, to do better than South African sides. And I also feel like in 2022, I'm almost getting deja vu. Stormers were fourth, Bulls were first, and the Bulls were cruising and lost in the final, which fortunately it was against another South African side. But I'm hoping that the Bulls, because they are the front runners currently and they represent South Africa currently at the top of the log. So I'm hoping they can kick on and keep that fight, because they changed up their team quite a lot. Like Marshall Kuti at 8 was a surprise for me. And also Kluisen, what a game. He was so calm under pressure. Like normally he takes it up on a one ball and he tries to attack the line and puts his whole back line under pressure. This time he almost stood at a 2.5. Okay, for those that don't know, a 1 is very flat, 2 is 45 degrees, and 3 is almost in the pockets. So he took it on a 2.5 attack, which gave him time to either play his back line or either just drop the bombs in the sky. So I feel like they did their homework and they deserve the win. But like you said, let's hope they can kick on.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at where they really did their homework, I thought they did their homework on defense very, very well. I think, because let's be real, the Stormers backline for me has to be the best backline in the URC when they're firing. I mean, we saw glimpses of it yesterday because
when we were chasing.
If Willemse gets going, Libok gets going, Galant gets going, they just know how to find space. And it's actually scary how good they can be when they are firing. But at the end of the day, that's Bulls, Stormers at Loftus completed. We finally got one. So yes, 7-1 now. 6 more to go. But we move on to another game. Lions Sharks. And guys, how on earth does John Plumtree have a job?
Can I start on this one?
Yeah.
Go. I see Casual Bias open his mouth there, and I jumped him on that one. Yes, I also am concerned or puzzled as why Plumtree still has a job. But also, I'm puzzled as to. I read an article today because there was a clip from Chasing the Sun too, where Bongi Mbonambi was talking about the English people being plastic or whatever, and they celebrated
plastic energy.
They celebrating the small victories too much and stuff like that, which made me question. You're a Sharks player, bottom of the log. You leading this game. You are at the bottom of the log. You're the leader of the team, and your concern is let's disrespect the referee and let's not celebrate the small victories. And that's why you bottom of the log, because it takes small victory to make a massive victory. So yeah, I'm annoyed with that.
Yeah. So I'm very annoyed by the Sharks. I'm not even a Sharks supporter. I don't even want to know how Sharks supporters feel, because Brevan, we spoke and we predicted the Sharks to win the game, right? I think Brett went with the Lions to still win the game. And it's not for me the fact that they lost against the Lions. They did play a bit of a rotated team. There's no shame in losing to the Lions, because the Lions have been very impressive this season. But it's in the manner that they lost that game. They got absolutely played off the park. And they had the big name still returning, because remember, this is only Bongi's second game back. So he's fired up and ready to play. They still had the normal guys playing, just not the South Africans, right? And still they got played off the park. They got smashed at literally everything. I feel they are lucky to even had how many points did they even get? 17? 10? 10. Yeah, 10 points. Yeah, they had the disallowed try, right? Or they had, yeah. So I mean, it is utterly embarrassing. I agree with Brevan. How does John Plumtree still have a job? I think I could put my grandma there, and she wouldn't say a word, and yet they would do better. I think he makes the team worse. Like it was this nostalgia thing. John Plumtree coming back to the Sharks could be magic. What they needed. It is not even borderline. It is just purely disgraceful at the moment. What is going on at the Sharks? No confidence in that team. It is shocking.
Yeah. And that's another thing. I feel like as much as it's Plumtree's fault, you can add the same blame to the players because I saw a bunch of players with a bad attitude. I mean,
Yeah.
when your captain is showing that kind of disrespect towards a referee, how does that impact your players around you? I mean,
Exactly.
it immediately puts your players like, oh, for goodness sake, here we go again. I don't care type attitude. And it's sad because you know what we thought the Sharks would be something special with all. I mean, obviously, like Brett's always said, too many Chiefs, not enough Indians type thing, and we all thought the Sharks were gonna really bring it up to the Bulls and the Stormers and be at that level, so we could have even more competition in South African rugby. And it's just been the Lions that have done that. I mean, if we look at, and this is what I've been trying to say to people, Nohamba at 9 makes so much more sense. Look how good he was at 9. And people have a go at us for saying, we say he's not an international 10, but we didn't say he's not good enough to maybe have a few games for the Box. We just said not at 10. At 9, he had a phenomenal game and
Yeah.
he haunted his old side. I mean, Nohamba really did dig into the Sharks there. And I mean, guys like Emmanuel Chichuka and Jordan Hendrickson must be looking at their signings and going, look, the money may be good, but are we going into something that can really damage our career in the sense that can we find form at the Sharks if no one else can find form type thing? So the Sharks have got a massive, and we call it a rebuild, but they have been rebuilding. They've been signing the players. So I don't know. If I was the Sharks director of rugby, I generally wouldn't have an answer right now. So whoever
I will have one
it's
answer, and that is get rid of John Plumtree and get in the likes of Johan Ackerman and splash a million on him on the dot. I don't even care. Like, get him in. You know, he's always been a successful coach wherever he goes. He will know a lot of these players, and you have to make the switch because Plumtree isn't going to bring down morale of the team and then bring it back up to where it needs to be. You need to make that change, and they can probably stick through with Plumtree for the rest of the season. But then you get Johan Ackerman. You've got your new faces in that will be motivated to play the likes of, what's it, Andre Esterhuizen, for example. You will be motivated to perform for this team, Jordan Hendrickson. And you get in that new coach and you scrap the rebuild that you were doing because it's gone to shit immediately. And you start with a proper rebuild and have the morale a bit higher with a bit more confidence going into the next season. You can't save this season. The only thing you can do is damage limitations. And for that to happen, get rid of Plumtree immediately.
Also, you can't lose to the Lions by 30 points as the richest team in the country and expect to keep your job. And yes, I'm one that I feel terrible when a coach loses their job. Like, I think it's the worst thing ever. Like, I struggle to fire staff even if they mess up 25,000 times. So I'm one that would I'd rather try and bring in change, like maybe a new attack coach, definitely a new defense coach, maybe get Powell in there to not be director of rugby, maybe bring him in as a attacking consultant or something. Just try to change stuff like that. Try and see if maybe we change some stuff in your personnel, not fire anyone, just change roles. Then maybe it could change because we all know Plumtree is a good coach. Everywhere he's gone in the world, he's found success. I mean, he took the Sharks to a Super Rugby final. He's done well with the Hurricanes. He's done well everywhere he's gone. It's just not his year, and maybe he's just not enjoying his working conditions. We don't know, but because there's no mention of him losing his job.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I just have a question for you guys with regards to the Sharks. And obviously, I'm not saying this is true. It's just a question. We like to debate things here and give our opinions. But do you possibly think that the money side of things for the Sharks can be the cause to their downfall at the moment? And the way I mean this is, do you think that, and obviously I don't think Springbok players, and we see this in the World Cup, are motivated by money per se, but when you get thrown a big salary, especially when you get to live in South Africa, and listen, our country has many issues, and we acknowledge that. But to live here is a privilege. I mean, this country is amazing in many many ways, and so to play your rugby here is phenomenal. But do you think possibly like these fat paychecks for some of the players literally just mean, okay, I'm getting a good salary, I don't maybe have to play my best type thing? Do you think it's a bit of a downfall towards the Sharks that so much money gets spent on some players?
Yeah, it's the same question that people ask, right, when they talk about, for instance, from the UFC, Conor McGregor. He's got all the money in the world. Why would he want to fight, right? Because he doesn't need to do it. And you could possibly say there is implications because the Sharks players get so much money. But I think there's enough guys that are still not on that amount of money that still need to fight for the jersey. And it feels like no one is fighting for that jersey. So, yeah, maybe, but I don't think the players by themselves get paid so much more than they got paid before. Because I don't think even Etzebets, for example, or Lukanya Arm's salary got topped by that much because they were already on a lot of money. They're just playing in South African right now. So it could have an impact, but it shouldn't have an impact. Like,
Yeah,
you should play the way that you want even more money than you already on.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't think it could have an impact at all. I think maybe in retrospect, maybe they're not earning as much as they think they should be earning. Like why is like a player at the Sharks, like I'm playing for the richest team in the country, why is a Colby still getting 6 times my salary? Like that type of thing. Like I'm working putting in the exact same work as these oaks, but I'm not getting as much money as these guys. Maybe I must go overseas. But then that's a contradicting factor because how are you going to get spotted overseas when they see, oh, you play for the team that's lost in South Africa with all that money? So I don't know. It could be and it couldn't be. We would never know.
Just to add on it, right? Like money. If you think about some of the highest paid players in the world, you talk about the likes of Owen Farrell, right? But he never dropped his intensity while playing for Saracens, even though they covered most of his paycheck and stuff. He always, like, that is one guy, like, even if we like him or we don't like him, he always wore his heart on his sleeve, played his best rugby. So that is the way that you approach being one of the highest paid players in the world. If you look at football players, yeah, they still have their hair nice and combed, but you don't see the money going to their head because you've got fans backing you. You've got a responsibility to perform on the field. So I'm hoping the money isn't the factor that is to the detriment of the Sharks, because that's not how it should be at all. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think let's look at it from both sides. We'll start with the Lions. Where do we see the Lions going from here? I mean, do we possibly think that they could sneak into a playoff spot by the end of the normal season? Do we see the Lions finishing 8th or 7th? Is that a possibility in your guys' mind?
Let me check the tables. I don't even have the table in front
Yes,
of me.
I do think. I think they keep this momentum going. And also, just a quick shout out to our previous guest, JP Smith. What a game! Wow, scrummed the shit out of the Sharks. Anyway, yeah, I think the Lions, if they can keep this momentum going, oh my word, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with because it looks like they are enjoying rugby. Like remember that movie from The Longest Yard, that scene where they go whoop whoop. It feels like that vibe. They're just enjoying.
Yeah, it just looks like a brotherhood there at the Lions. Like it's been missing for so many seasons, and then this season, it's almost like they've just formed this brotherhood, and it's really helped them. And that's exactly what the Sharks are lacking. I don't see a brotherhood in the Sharks side on the field because when you play, you can see when a team, when they gel and they obviously spend a lot of time together. I mean, we've seen JP Smith and Ron Smith. I mean, they obviously have a lot of fun with their teammates, and they have banter with them, and obviously have a few working with them as well towards the future. And it's great to see. But now the same question I asked for you is now for the Sharks, and players like Eben Etzebeth, Bongi Munambi. I mean, you can name all the Springboks there. You really can. But now, do we see a way back for the Sharks with them, with Inyakane coming in, Chichuka, Esterhuizen, obviously more money signings and great signings, don't get me wrong. But do we see the Sharks picking up, or should these players maybe look elsewhere to play their rugby? Because, and even Etzebeth should not be playing for a team that is last on the URC log. I'm sorry to say, I understand it's partially might be it's a team sport. I get it, I really do, and obviously I'm a part of that. It's a team's fault for being there, but I mean, players aren't going to be happy when they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Players aren't going to be happy being lost. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Brevin, I just want to make a point on your previous comment, right? I do think the Lions have a possibility of making it into the playoffs. We can't be hypocritical and say the Stormers are definitely getting in and the Lions aren't, while the Lions are 1 point off the Stormers. That's how close it is. And I don't think a lot of people knew this. Like, the Stormers are currently in 9th, which means we are not even in the playoffs at the moment after that loss. That's why the loss against the Bulls is a big one. Not like we expect to beat the Bulls, but it's kind of like we kind of got used to beating the Bulls, and we didn't even get a bonus point. Like, getting a bonus point means we are 1 point off Benetton, who's in 8th place. So now we're 2 points there. So we're on the same amount of points as Ospreys. Now, I do think Ospreys will fall off, and the Lions will surpass them. Obviously, the Stormers have got a couple of home games. We're playing Edinburgh next weekend. I think it's Edinburgh next weekend, right? I do see us beating Edinburgh. I'm not filled with confidence. They are 4 points above us, but let's say we beat Edinburgh convincingly with a bonus point. Edinburgh gets nothing. Then all of a sudden we shoot up above Edinburgh, who's in 4th position. That just tells you how close everyone is.
Very close. Yeah.
In this whole thing, right? So the Lions, if they can scrape a couple of victories, they could really get themselves a decent, not even just in the playoffs, in a decent position in the playoffs. Sharks is asking, can they rectify it next season? They can't do anything right now, in my opinion. This is just damage control at the moment. Should the players go and play overseas? No, I think this season should be your motivation to fix it next season.
Look, I'm not saying go overseas. I'm not saying go overseas or anything. I'm saying, for instance, we see it all around the world. When a team is lost and it's supposed to be a team that's contending for the championship, your big players kind of, and it's not a great look, but your big players do tend to kind of look and see, maybe my future lies with the Stormers, maybe it lies with the Bulls, maybe it lies with the Lions, who knows? Or overseas, that's always an option. But I just think the Sharks need to be careful because it can scare players away, and I think that's what the point I'm trying to make is. You don't want to scare your big players away, but at the same time, the big players need to pull up their socks and guide this team to a bit of a higher finish and finish off with some pride, if that makes sense.
Yeah, agreed.
You also just know if the Lions are going to up their game and get better. My honest answer is they can't get worse.
You mean the Sharks? Yeah, the Sharks.
They cannot get worse.
Yeah, well, I think it was a very look. We're going to end off the podcast, but what was a very weird weekend of rugby. As much as I'm happy, I mean, Loftus kickoff delayed, games with the Lions delayed, a lot of stop starts, lightning, everything like that. It was an unusual weekend of rugby, but Lions and Bulls walk away with the wins this weekend. And look, at the end of the day, we want to see at least 3 teams from the South Africans in the playoffs. And I hope we can see that. So, yeah, keep backing the Stormers if you're a Stormers fan. Back the Bulls if you're a Bulls fan. And, yeah, it was a great weekend. And thank you guys again. Like, subscribe, and we appreciate you guys. And we will see you again soon with another episode. And we appreciate you. So, cheers.